certain language that is used in this design. And this language, of course, of every flying or fastly moving object comes from aerodynamics control form. And so I'm vastly interested in shapes which are controlled by aerodynamics. And I love the fact that this functionality comes by a physical movement, that air movement creates this form. But there's also a certain character that I like, and many of my works relate strongly to pop culture, entertainment-based sources like movies, in science fiction movie design, which is for me always a formula to look for something timeless that could fit in all kind of surroundings. So a certain elegance that could have been last century, but at the same time tapping into the design languages. There are so many lights in this building, it enhances even the softness.
Right.
And if it would be stainless steel, the reflection would be much harder. Also, it has much more contrast in steel.
Right.
So I think that when I have to imagine all the parts, also the reflection of the angle here, because this work, by its nature, has many axes, and they all don't line up. They form a certain rhythm, and this line here is quite different from the center line. So the difficulty is to make all of them look good equally. In an exhibition space it would make sense, because then I want to create an overly strong dynamic. But here it should have more a gliding feel.
Right.
So like an airplane landing, not a fighter attack.
Underneath the wing.
I think if the end here is just horizontal, it's a good balance. That's how I had it in the studio. That was actually during the making one of the most difficult parts, to get these dynamics right of each wave, that it looks all as one unit in the end and not as just separate movements. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Yes, 3 months of worrying, 3 months of fighting. Not our fighting to get it done. And it's done. I'm often surprised that the finished work looks sometimes more like a virtual object than the computer graphics that I did. They sometimes cross over in a more immaterial sense. Or that's at least how I see it. In every new project, I try to push a little bit my own boundaries. And especially in public art, there's a certain set of rules that I tend to follow, which I myself created over time to say, okay, I like this type of thing, I do this. And they can become quite rigid. So whenever I have the chance, like this one, to go in a new field and have a different environment that can push myself out a little bit of my usual way of thinking, I like to use this chance to break my own rules. Since I learned about Taiwan, that it has very beautiful mountain ranges, and it's a very popular spot within the world for people to come and see. I was actually looking at topographical characteristics in the Taiwanese landscape, which I could incorporate in the work, and I wanted to keep it as light as possible. So at the end I ended up to just keep the waviness of natural movement, which could be found in any kind of phenomena, including geologic. You can see hills and mountains in there, but it's also clouds, it's also any kind of movement. To make sure that it has a very different character from each angle. That maybe from one angle it might actually look more like ocean movement or landscape features. From another angle it might have more something of a flying object or of cloud formations. But that as much as possible every single angle will provide a different character for an audience that is not there, that is not coming to the site to see art. It is just something that confronts them, and hopefully in a friendly way. So it's very different from exhibition work. In exhibition work, for example, I much more target the emotion of the visitor and create something that might be completely surprising, that might create certain emotions. For me as an artist, it allows me to think more about the visitor, my artistic intention. I don't know whom I'm targeting yet, because I don't know these visitors yet. I could easily experiment with a different way that I did in other projects.